Hello. The title of today's presentation is From A to B. We're going to talk about three-person basketball officiating. This presentation is for new officials, officials with 0 to 3 years of experience, veteran officials who may need some refresher in three-person officiating, or officials who have mastered two-person officiating and are ready to step up to three-person officiating. This is today's agenda. We're going to talk about the pregame, jump ball, positioning, three-pointers, throw-ins, backcourt pressure defense, free throws, rotations, switches, substitutions, timeouts, between quarters, and ball spots. Pregame. For NFHS contest, our crew will report to the playing area at the 15-minute mark. The umpires will observe positions at the 28-foot mark in the front court opposite of each team's bench. The referee will observe the position at the division line. Our crew will check the following: the legality of players' uniforms and equipment, observe warm-ups of both teams, ensure that all court markings are visible, ensure that both teams have turned in rosters by the 10-minute mark, the legality of the game balls, and ensure that the clock and scoreboard, including the shot clock, are functioning properly. If a player uniform or equipment is questionable, becomes an issue, I highly encourage your crews to speak with the head coach or the assistant coach, or just put a bug in the players' ears they're passing by you during warm-ups. I will highly discourage you from entering the players' warm-up area while they're warming up and disrupting their flow and timing. As stated earlier, our entire crew is responsible for the legality of players' uniforms and equipment, the warm-ups for both teams, ensuring that all court markings are visible, and the team benches are in the correct place. As you can see in this video, our referee has walked down the division line to the scores table, first introducing himself to the scorers table team, speaking with the head coaches, ensuring that the rosters have been turned in at the 10-minute mark. In most cases, most teams will have turned in their rosters and they will have been entered in the scorebook. It is not required that the team's rosters be entered in the scorebook by the 10-minute mark. That is a myth. The rule is only that the rosters have been turned in by the 10-minute mark. Our referee will ensure that the clock and scoreboard and shot clock are being used or function properly. You can see our referee at this point in the video is checking the legality of the game balls, ensuring that it is the correct game ball, the correct size, ensuring that it bounces correctly, and he's letting the other members of the crew confirm the legality of the game ball that is being used for this particular boys contest. For NFHS contest, our crew will have a pregame conference for both head coaches and team captains. They will take place at the division line circle. We should at a minimum address the following: any questions and inquiries for either head coach and or captains related to basketball rules and mechanics. We will ensure that the uniforms and equipment by both teams will be legal throughout the duration of the contest, and that both teams, including coaches, their staff, players, team members, and all bench personnel, will show sportsmanship and leadership throughout the duration of the contest. Jump ball. Here's our procedure for the jump ball to start the contest in any overtime periods. One umpire will take a position at the division line table side, just to the right of the table, or at the 28-foot mark on their side of the floor. These are options that our tableside umpire can observe. The other umpire will take a position at the 28-foot mark on their side of the floor, opposite the table. Our referee will take a position at the division line opposite the table. We will allow the players to take their desired legal positions. Once they have obtained and taken their desired legal positions, our referee will enter the division line circle with our jumpers. He will indicate the correct directions for each team. He will toss the ball, ensuring that the toss goes at least 1 foot above the tallest jumper. Once the ball is possessed legally by one of the players from one of the teams, the umpires will become lead and center depending on the direction. The referee will become trail. So the images in this slide point out the positions that each of our officials will take. If the ball goes to our visiting team for first possession, that is denoted by the image on top. Our referee will become our trail. The umpire table side will become lead, and the umpire that is opposite the table will become center. If the home team wins the opening possession on the jump, then of course our referee will become trail. Our tableside umpire will become the center official, and our umpire that's opposite table will become our lead. Our referee allowed our players to obtain their desired legal positions. He will eventually enter the division line circle and indicate the correct direction for each team. He tosses the ball at least 1 foot above the tallest jumper. This is a great job by our referee. Eventually, the ball is legally possessed by the team in white. Our umpire table side becomes lead. Our umpire opposite table side becomes center, and our referee becomes trail, and the contest has begun. Positioning. For every play in the basketball contest, not including fast breaks, it is mandatory that officials observe their correct initial starting positions in the front court. After the initial jump ball, assuming that one team will legally possess the ball following the conclusion of the jump ball, we should observe our starting initial positions. After the throw-in to start each quarter or half, we should also observe our initial starting positions. Trail's initial starting position is at the 28-foot mark. Center's initial position is at the free throw line extended. Lead's initial starting position is on the end line out of bounds, 3 to 6 feet off the intersection of the lane and out of bounds boundary line. The image on the right denotes the initial starting position of each of our officials and our 3-person crew. This is an image taken from the video that we watched several slides back. It shows the initial starting positions of each of our 3 officials. Our trail official is at the 28-foot mark. Our center official is at the free throw line extended, and our lead is on the end line out of bounds 3 to 6 feet off the intersection of the lane and out of bounds boundary line. This is known in officiating manuals as the post-up position. This is a great job by our crew to open the contest. When a team's possession changes as a result of a made goal, last made free throw goal, or defensive rebound, our officials will observe new positions. Lead will become trail, center will stay center, trail will become lead. Again, it is mandatory that our officials make a conscious effort to get to their initial starting positions. The following video is a demonstration of our officials going from one position to another. This first play we see as a defensive rebound, and our officials change positions. At the made three-point goal, once again our officials change positions. So far, the only official that has not changed the position is our center official. But that could potentially change, and we will find out later in the presentation when our center official will actually change positions. The reason that position is so vital and important is because of the large areas that each of our officials is responsible. These areas are often referred to as primary coverage areas, or PCAs. Remember this term, as you will see it a lot in officiating manuals, and you will hear officials at higher levels refer to primary coverage areas quite often. It is imperative that we as officials know our primary coverage areas, not only for two-person officiating, but for three-person officiating as well. In the image to the right, we are focusing only on the right side, where we have shades of blue and yellow on the three-person coverage. This is the primary coverage area for National Federation High School and NCAA men. Please note in this PCA coverage diagram, league does not have three-point responsibilities. Now, having said that, I would tell lead to be ready to have three-point responsibilities. This is the PCA diagram for NCAA women and some NFHS states, such as Georgia, that uses NCAA women's mechanics. Note in this PCA coverage diagram, lead does have three-point responsibilities. For purposes of this presentation, we're going to use this particular PCA where lead does have three-point responsibilities. Segue, let's talk about three-pointers. So the last slide in our chapter discussed the primary coverage areas of our officiating crew. Please note for NCAA men and National Federation High School, our outside officials, and we will always refer to our center and trail as our outside officials, have responsibility for three-pointers in the front court. Please note, once again, lead for this particular primary coverage area diagram does not have three-point responsibilities, even though I would encourage lead to be prepared to take on some three-point responsibilities. There should be only one three-point signal attempt. Both outside officials will signal a three-point goal as good. If a three-point try occurs in your PCA, then you are responsible for staying with that shooter and any defenders that attempt to close out on that shooter and or contest the shot. Your partner should be aware of the three-point try, but should turn their heads towards the lane to officiate the rebounding action. The best way to be able to cover three-pointers, get to your initial starting positions. This will assist you in being able to effectively officiate plays involving three-pointers. This is almost identical to the last slide in terms of information. The only difference is that this is the primary coverage area diagram for NCAA women and NFHS states that uses NCAA women's mechanics, such as the state of Georgia. Again, there should only be one three-point signal attempt. Both outside officials will signal a three-point goal as good. In this particular play, the three-point shot try takes place in Trail's primary coverage area. Trail has the only three-point signal attempt. Both outside officials should signal the three-point goal being made. We want to do our best if we have the three-point shot try take place in our primary coverage area, not to be officiating the play where we're behind the shooter. We want to make sure that we are somewhere where we can see the airspace between our shooter and any potential defenders closing out on the shooter or trying to contest the three-point try. In this play, the three-point shot try takes place in Lead's primary coverage area. Lead has the only three-point signal attempt. Both outside officials should signal the three-point goal made. Throw-ins. Throw-ins are the actions of a player attempting to pass the ball from out of bounds to a teammate. They can occur when the clock is properly running or when the clock is properly stopped. Throw-ins occur either on the sideline or inline. They can occur after a foul, a made goal or made last free throw, after a violation, after a timeout, after an out of bounds violation, or to start a quarter or half. One of our officials has the responsibility for the thrower in, defender of the throw in, and all nearby action. The other officials are responsible for everything else. Our video in this slide is just an example of throw-ins and all types of situations that we have just described. A front court throw-in administered by our lead official as we see in this video. Lead will hand the ball to the thrower in on these front court throw-ins on the end line. Lead's position will depend on the spot of the throw-in. Center can start at his initial position of the free throw line extended. Center has some flexibility here on these front court throw-ins. Center may close down towards the end line or go outside the free throw line extended if needed to get an open line of sight on all off-ball action. Trail should start at the 28-foot mark, which is his initial starting position. Trail must be present in these plays and should not be officiating them from near the division line unless players go beyond the 28-foot mark during the throw-in. This front court throw-in will be administered by our Trail. Trail will bounce the ball to the throw-in on these front court throw-ins on the sideline. Trail's position will depend on the spot of the throw-in. Center can start at his initial position of the free throw line extended. Again, as we talked about in the previous slide, center has that flexibility to close down towards the end line or go outside the free throw line extended if needed to get an open line of sight on all off-ball action. Lead also has some flexibility here on this particular type of throw-in. Lead can either start from the wide position or post-up position. Whichever position helps lead get the best line of sight on all off-ball action. For backcourt throw-ins administered by our trail official, if the defense is not applying pressure in the backcourt, our trail will bounce the ball to the thrower in if it's resulting from a dead ball violation or other stoppage such as timeouts. Trail's position will depend on the spot of the throw-in. Our center and lead officials will simply take their initial starting positions in the new front court. This video is just a demonstration of a throw-in where our defense is not displaying pressure in the backcourt. If we have a backcourt throw-in administered by our trail and our defense displays pressure in the backcourt, again, our trail will bounce the ball to the thrower in if resulting from a dead ball violation or other stoppage such as timeouts. Trail's position, again, will depend on the spot of the throw-in. Our center will take an initial position between the 28-foot mark and division line in the backcourt, and our center should move gradually toward his initial starting position as the basketball makes its way to the division line. Our lead will take an initial position between the division line and 28-foot mark in the front court, and lead should gradually move towards his initial starting position as the basketball makes its way to the division line. This video is a demonstration of our officiating crew at work with backcourt throw-ins administered by trail when the defense is displaying pressure in the backcourt. Speaking of backcourt pressure defense, we talked about this in some detail in our throw-in section. So let's just review some things about backcourt pressure by defenses with regards to our officiating crew and add a couple of responsibilities. Our trail, once again, is responsible for the throw-in and all action near the throw-in. Our trail will ultimately be responsible for the on-ball matchup after the throw-in is completed. This is assuming that the offense has maintained player control. Our center will be responsible for all players off ball between the division line and in line in the backcourt. And we talked about the position that our center should take earlier in the presentation and our center's movements toward his new initial starting position. Our center should always stay ahead of the basketball if possible. Similar to our center, our lead is responsible for all players off ball between the division line and in line in the front court. And we talked about lead starting position with some flexibility in the front court and leads gradual movement towards his initial starting position as the basketball makes its way toward the division line. As we watch this video that we've seen a few slides ago, see how our trail has all the action near the throw-in until it's completed. See our center was in great position and prepared to receive the on-ball matchup. And notice our lead stays ahead of the action and is ready to receive the next pass in any potential on-ball action. Great job by our officiating crew. Free throws. Our lead will administer the free throw with a bounce pass to the free thrower. Lead should be alongside the lane blocks when passing the ball to the free thrower. Lead is responsible for all rebounding action involving the players as shown in the image. Lead should be in his initial starting position on the last free throw attempt. Center is responsible for the free thrower, and center also has the 10-second free throw count. Center is responsible for all rebounding action involving the players as shown in the image. Center should be at or near the free throw line extended, but should be no further than the top of the three-point arc extended. Trail is responsible for all players outside the three-point arc and free throw line extended. Trail is also responsible for all substitutions. If we have a last free throw and we have substitutions following the last free throw goal being made, Trail will notify the subs to come in and we'll hand them off to our center official. This is an excellent job by our officiating crew of conducting the free throws and observing all their roles and responsibility during this time. Notice they are in proper position, they are present in the front court, and there's coverage everywhere. Let's talk about rotations. Rotations are the most challenging aspect of learning three-person officiating. It requires awareness, it requires trust. Let me say that again. It requires awareness and it requires trust. It also requires a great sense of anticipation, and it takes a lot of practice to master rotations. Rotations are the movements to new positions in the front court during live ball with the clock properly running. Rotations are initiated by the lead official. Lead is moving from one closed down position to the other closed down position. When lead completes the rotation, trail will move to center and center will move to trail. Lead officials have three positions along the end line. You've heard us refer to some of these positions throughout the presentation. We're going to go briefly in depth about where these positions are. So close down is between the 3-foot line and corner where the lane and inline meet. If you're looking at this in this diagram, think of the close down position with the first R in Harrison and the S in Harrison. The post up is anywhere between halfway between the 3-point arc and corner where the lane and inline meet and just inside the 3-point arc. So imagine if you're looking at this diagram that the post up position will start just between the A and the R in Harrison and between the S and the O in Harrison. And wide is anywhere beyond the post up position. So if you want to think of wide by looking at this image, imagine between the H and the A in Harrison and between the O and the N in Harrison. Rotation should occur when the basketball settles in the area and 1. The basketball goes below the free throw line extended opposite of lead. The basketball goes to the corner opposite of lead and settles. The offense forms a triangle on the ball side of the floor, which means you're probably going to find 6 players on one side of the floor. Offensive post players are in position on the ball side of the floor to receive the basketball. And there are 15 to 30 seconds remaining in the quarter or half, and the ball matchup is in center's primary beyond the 3-point arc. To add on to this, even if there's more time remaining in our quarter or half, and we have the basketball settling in center's primary such that it is beyond the 3-point arc, where center must leave the free throw line extended and go towards the division line, that's probably the perfect time to rotate. We're going to see some examples of our officiating crew rotating and see why. Our lead rotates in this situation because the ball has settled on that side of the floor with 6 players on that side of the floor. Because of the good rotation, our lead was in perfect position to call the foul. In this particular situation, the ball settles on the left side of the floor and our lead rotates to that side of the floor. In addition, there were 6 players on that side of the floor as well. In this play, our ball settles on the left side of the floor and we had potential post-play and post-action developing. In this particular play, the ball settles and goes below the free throw line extended on the right side of the floor, and we had post action on the right side of the floor. Again, in this next play, the ball went below the free throw line extended and settled on the right side of the floor. In this play, the ball goes to the corner, settles on the right side of the floor and centers primary coverage area, so our lead makes an appropriate rotation. Switches. Switches are the movements by officials to a new position when the ball is dead and the clock is properly stopped. Switches can be a new position on the floor. Switches can be where any one or all of our officials transition to a new position. The video is showing some circumstances in which switches occur. They can occur with defensive fouls in the front court called by lead and center, defensive fouls in the front court called by trail, who is opposite table side, offensive fouls in the front court called by center, violations in both front and back court. Substitutions. Substitutes should take a position at either the X in front of the scorer's table or a position near the X that does not impact their safety. When the ball is dead, substitutes can be granted permission to enter the contest by any of our 3 officials. Center will be primary for substitutions if center is table side or on the last made free throw. Trail will be primary for substitutions if trail is on the sideline table side. Any official can grant permission if the primary official misses the substitution or is occupied. Our process for substitutions: 1. Check the table for substitutes. Blow your whistle. Beckon substitutes onto the court. Take a stationary position with the stop the clock signal where you are visible to your partners so that your partners do not put the ball at the player's disposal prior to the substitution process being completed. If you are in good position, then you should barely have to move until the substitution process is completed. Timeouts. Timeouts can be requested by the team in player control of the basketball or either team when the ball is dead. When a timeout is requested and granted, one of the officials will designate the correct ball spot and go to the ball spot unless the ball spot is at one of the team's benches. The other official will go to the foul reporting area, not all the way to the table, and administer the timeout. This official will indicate the team color of the team taking the timeout, will indicate whether we have a 30 or 60-second timeout by the signal, and tell the timer to start the timeout clock. For 30-second timeouts, after the timeout has started, one official should be at the ball spot, unless the ball spot is at one of the team's benches. The other official should be at the top of the three-point arc. With 15 seconds remaining in the timeout, the timer should sound the horn. Our officials at the top of the three-point arc should go to each team and inform them first horn and whatever the team color is for that particular bench. Once this has been done for both teams, both officials will resume their previous positions. The process for 60-second timeouts is identical to 30-second timeouts. The only difference is the location of our other officials. Our other officials will be located at the free throw lane blocks nearest the team benches. Otherwise, the process for timeouts after the timeout has started is identical to the process for 30-second timeouts as we have previously described. Between quarters. Between the first and second quarter, as well as between the third and fourth quarters, the referee will go to the division line to administer the throw-in to start the quarter. The referee will start the quarter as trail, assuming that there is not a turnover on the throw-in. The umpires will assume their 60-second timeout positions. And again, just like the 60-second timeout as well as the 30-second timeout, with 15 seconds left in their intermission, the timer should sound the horn. Our umpires will go to each team and inform them first horn and the appropriate team color. Once this has been done for both teams, the umpires will go to their new positions as center and lead. When the first half comes to a conclusion, all of our officials will take a position as shown in the image to the right. They're going to wait for the benches to clear and ensure that nothing unsporting occurs between the two teams. The referee will take the game ball to the scorer's table. The referee will ensure that the score is correct and that the alternating possession arrow has been switched. The referee will notify the timer to start the clock for halftime. Our officiating crew may now proceed to the locker room. With 3 minutes remaining in the halftime intermission, both officials will return to the court. They will assume positions at each 28-foot mark, which are the identical positions that our officials take during pregame. Let's talk about ball spots. These are the spots that we're going to place the basketball for throw-ins. When the ball becomes dead, other than situations of free throws or made goals, there is a proper location for the throw-in to occur. This is very, very important. Here are two scenarios to highlight the importance of ball spots. We have A1 in the backcourt. A1 dribbles the basketball and is trapped by B1 and B2 between the sideline and division line while still in the backcourt. Team A requests a timeout and is granted the timeout. Where is the throw-in spot? A1, in our second scenario, again, is in the backcourt. He dribbles the basketball and again is trapped by B1 and B2 between the sideline and division line again. But this time A1 has entered the front court. Team A requests a timeout and is granted the timeout. Where is the throw-in spot? Almost identical plays with two different throw-in spots. So you remember our scenarios? Our scenarios started out identically with A1 in the backcourt, dribbling the basketball, and being trapped by B1 and B2 between the sideline and division line. Scenario 1, this occurred while A1 was still in the backcourt. Scenario 2 occurred after A1 just entered the front court and has front court status. So backcourt and front court are keywords in both of these scenarios. The ball became dead as a result of an other stoppage. A timeout is an other stoppage. Because in the first scenario, the other stoppage happened in the backcourt, the ball would be spotted in the backcourt at the nearest location of the ball where the timeout was requested. In the second scenario, because the other stoppage occurred in the front court, the ball will be spotted at the 28-foot mark nearest to the sideline where the ball was when the timeout was requested. So remember, all out-of-bounds violations result in a throw-in nearest to the spot of a violation. This is for violations in the front court or back court, or for out-of-bounds violations in the front court or back court. All fouls, violations that are not out-of-bounds violations, hill balls, and other stoppages that occur in the backcourt will result in a throw-in nearest to the spot. However, these same fouls, violations which are not out-of-bounds violations, hill balls, and other stoppages that occur in the front court will result in the throw-in at either one of the 28-foot marks or either one of the 3-foot marks nearest to where the ball was or the ball is. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. We hope you gained something invaluable from this presentation entitled From A to B with regards to three-person officiating. Have a great day, a great week, a great month, a great year, a great season.